What's up everybody, welcome back to another video, and in this video I'm going to be going over Pragmata. Yes, the game has been out for a week, but I only started recently playing it, and this is my video telling you all my thoughts. I'm not close to being done, but it's fantastic, so let's dive into it. First thing we're going to talk about is the combat, and honestly it's one of the best parts about the game. It is fantastic. Combine this with the enemy variety, very good. I mean, you got robots, and robots are cool, and the whole system with your guns is very interesting, and very simple and in-depth. So, basically, you have 4 types of weapons. You can only have one of each type on you at a time. You basically only have one primary weapon to pick from, at least as far as I've gone. And your, power weapon and your technical weapon, those you get several options of pretty early on. So, you'll have plenty of options there. Personally, I prefer, the railgun with the net launcher so far. Seems to be working out. Then you have your, gadget gun. And at least for a long period of time in the early game, you're basically stuck with only one kind, and that would be, basically you can make a hologram of yourself, and enemies will get distracted by that. And that is a great system. They have a fantastic system in place for your guns. I'm very proud, I really like the system, and they did a great job on that. And the enemies are really interesting as well, and they did a good job on the enemies. Now, I would like to talk about the story, and obviously, I'm missing a lot of context because I have not beat the game yet. But, surprisingly, I have gone a decent bit through and still feel like I have a lot of plot holes. But, I'll fill it in eventually. Long story short, you're this guy. His name's Hugh. And you and your team get to this planet. Your team dies immediately. That's not really a spoiler. It happens immediately. And then you go and you... AI starts attacking you. You don't know why. You're on the moon. It's an AI base, but why is it attacking you? You get knocked out. This little girl finds you, and you name her Diana, and she's a robot, and you travel throughout this place trying to contact Earth. That's the gist of it. No more than that in this video to hold from spoilers, but, I mean, the story is very intriguing. Because, like I said, I am a decent way through and still have so many plot holes, but I'm confident that those plot holes will be filled, and because that's the perfect way to make an intriguing story. So this game is nailing the story. And let's move on to the enemies. Enemy wise, really good variety, a little crazy in difficulty, a large range, because sometimes you'll get a brand new enemy and you're like, is this going to be super easy or super hard? And there are some in between. You really don't know. Every time you see a new enemy, you have no clue its difficulty. And, some enemies feel really hard, but are placed in a way that they kind of seem like they're supposed to be, common, generic enemies, except they act almost as hard as a boss battle. So, that part's a little confusing to me, because, I mean, I'm pretty skilled. I can do it. It is a little difficult for me, though. Then you have the environment, which you are on a moon base, and long story short, in the game, which you also find out this really early on, there's this 3D printer material, and that is how the moon base is here. They they can 3D print stuff, and it's super realistic and easy to do, and that's how they made the moon base. Because they have some really interesting areas that you usually would not find on a moon base. One of which was one of my favorite areas. I really want to put emphasis on this area because I feel like the whole game is very hallway-esque. There's a lot of hallways, tight corners. It doesn't open up much, and especially for the first section. So, moving on to that second section, you're in New York. A fake New York that was built with this AI 3D printer, but you are in New York, basically, and when it opens up to just the giant city, big TVs everywhere, you're it really feels oh, wow, this game's so much bigger than I thought it'd be. At least that's the feeling I got, because it felt really cramped before then. Not in a negative way, but it did, and, getting that, big burst of, wow, this is very interesting. So that area, I feel is probably gonna be my favorite, just because I got, such a rush of, wow, that's a big area. And then the third area, which is the area I'm on, is an overgrown nature area. It's the greenhouse area. It's kind of a mixture. It's more open than the first area, but more closed in than the second, so it's good in between. And the interesting part with this area, at least so far for me, is that it's very branching paths. You choose which hallway you want to go in. Once you pick, you can't go in the other hallway. Because that, it just, means more unique experiences between players, which is always great. We love seeing that. Okay, we're almost done with this video. But before we go, I have to mention, in my opinion, the best part about the game. So, like most games, there's some sort of leveling up system, upgrading system, skill trees, stuff like that. And that whole vibe, that whole thing, this game took that to a million. Now, it's not as complex as others, so you're probably thinking, why is he mentioning it like this? Well, it is just so great. And the reason, I would say, is that it's so great is because, most, upgrading, things in games either fall into being, on the too complicated side or on the too simplified side. So it meets you in the middle. That is just, it completely finds the middle, and it does a great job at it. It's perfect. It's perfect, and it's great. So basically, there's this hub area, and you always come back to this hub area, and then, you leave the hub area to go venture out in the world, and you always come back to the hub area, though. And the hub area has so many different things. One of which is, there's so many different things in here, and each thing is, a different level of complexity. So, the first thing we're going to talk about is very simple. Basically, there's this thing you can find in the world. It's like a yellow box. And you come to this part of the hub. And it's also called the shelter, so I should refer to it as that. The shelter. And this part allows you to upgrade your character. This part is very simple. Basically, you can use the thing you have to upgrade different parts. The more you're upgraded in one part, the more, the less and more it will cost. And then... And it's just three things. You can either upgrade Diana, your primary weapon, or you. And it's very simple. And like I said, since this game somehow finds a way to manage just making an insanely good system like this, it's great. It's just great. I don't really need to dive into more into this part. But moving on to another part in the shelter is this part where it's like a terminal. And this is how you do your main upgrading. The other thing was very generic. This one gets a lot more complicated, but still not too bad. And in this little spot, there's so many, branching things you can do. One of which is upgrade weapons. See, I haven't really upgraded any of my weapons because I'm worried that I'm going to get, a new weapon. I want to replace it. But I've already upgraded the weapon I'm getting rid of. Because I get a little hesitant on upgrading weapons. So I personally have not focused on that part about the game. But there's so many other things you can do in this spot. One of which is just, doing upgrades. One part of this spot will allow you to upgrade, just give you new things, new abilities, new little things. You can also upgrade inventory space, which this game doesn't really have an inventory, but it's before you go off on your adventure, you need to get a loadout, and while you're making your loadout, it helps to have more space. But you can also just do generic upgrades, and this is also where you manage your symbols, which while you're hacking, there's different symbols. Here you can upgrade symbols, or if you just unlocked one, you can get it permanently unlocked. Play the game, you'll know what I mean. This part is basically where you do more of your complex unlocking, and then there's basically kind of a currency in the game that you spend on this part alone. And there's just these little blue things you get from killing enemies or finding them in boxes. There's also these other things which are a lot more rare, but you need them as well to do some of the upgrades. Okay, another part of this shelter would be that there's this little robot. I forgot his name, but he's a little robot guy. He's very friendly, a little too friendly, but he's not as bad as Naviru. Monster Hunter Stories. If you know what I mean, know what I mean. Point is, he's fine. He just stays in the hub, and you talk to him when you need to do stuff. He has, three different options. First, you can change the music. Second, you can go on these adventures that, weirdly, you, unlock kind of, I just unlocked these, so I don't understand why I haven't unlocked them sooner, but besides that, they're really good little adventures. They're basically just a little challenge, and if you complete it, you get a reward. At least the ones I've done are very easy, but they do get harder as you unlock more. The only ones I've unlocked are very easy, and each little challenge has 3 goals. The more goals you complete, the better reward you get. And I have completed all 3 goals on each, which is getting triple diamond on each. If you play the game, it makes more sense. And then another thing you can do with this guy is basically play bingo. So there's going to be a bingo sheet of upgrades, and you can go and select one if you have this little token. The little token allows you to get one, and every time you get 3 in a row, you get a reward. If you fill out the whole bingo sheet, you get a big reward, a new outfit, which doesn't do anything. But you're like me, cosmetics are fun. So that's great. But here's the interesting part, and it's the item you need to get the bingo spot. And honestly, it's not much like bingo, more like tic-tac-toe. Anyway, the item you need to get the bingo spot is this hub or shelter token, And this token is like basically the robot's like tokens he has, and you get these tokens like by two ways. Either by completing a challenge, they're one's rewards, or you could go out in the world and find things to give Diana. So in the hub or shelter, you can like build it. You can't really pick where things go, but if you find things, you can place them down in a set spot, and the more stuff you have, the happier Diana will be. And Diana, she is very wholesome and very sweet and very lovable, and she's kind and she's oblivious to danger, and she's great. She's a very cute little girl. But point is, if you find things and put them in the shelter, the little robot is like, hey, here's one of my tokens. Those tokens are just like very interesting in my opinion, because it's like the way the game feels like sets it up is like the bingo stuff is supposed to be like, you know, like it almost seems like it's supposed to be a little bit more easy, but little do you know, it's actually kind of hard to get the tokens, because one, the challenges, but you'll run out of the challenges pretty quick, and then finding the stuff in the world is really difficult, because they're like very hidden. Like one time I found one, and I had to like look up how to find this, but there's the wall, and apparently if you watch the wall, it just goes away. I think that's insane. Like, how would I have found that? It's literally just your generic wall in the middle of nowhere, just on a wall. It's just a wall, and then it's like, oh, do you know? You get close to that, it goes away. That didn't make sense. But anyway, that whole system is great. Like again, the like number one like quality-wise part of this game is the whole hub, shelter, like all the upgrades. Everything you can do in here is like perfect. They nailed it. And obviously it would make a lot more sense if you saw it for yourself. But point is, then on to like another thing you can do in the hub, and you can look at just like models. You can get these by completing more bingo or tic-tac-toe, and they're just models of the enemies. It's very similar to Resident Evil, you know, Capcom, and Resident Evil. You can like get these models and like art of the game being made and stuff like that. You know, just like fun little things to look at. This game has stuff like that, and you get it from like bingos. You can also change outfits, but outfits are very difficult to get. The only way that I have found to get outfits is to get them by the bingo, and the bingo's a lot more hard than you expect. And there's also an amiibo with this game. I don't really know what that gives you, but I have it ordered, and it should be here soon. And I will do a little post of a picture of it on YouTube if you want to see my amiibo of the game. It's Diana. One last thing about the hub before we go is there's this little part that's like a hallway, and every time you like unlock a new gun permanently, it like goes there. And here's the weird part. So obviously you have your primary gun, it's always there, it reloads by itself, but all your other guns act more like items in a way, where it's like if you find a gun with like 4 ammo in it, it's basically like you're getting 4 items of that item, which is kind of weird to think about, because it's not like, oh, I've ran out of ammo, let me reload. No, it goes away completely, unless you find another one, and then once you use that, you'll have to get another one. But every time you leave the hub, you can restock to the max amount of the weapon of your choice. But once you're out in the field, it's going to vary a lot, but at least starting from when you leave the hub, you get to like completely pick how you want it to be. Of course, while you like, you know, run out of things or find things, it changes once you're out, you know, doing stuff. But at least before that, you can make it how you want. That whole situation is very nice, because, you know, it's very creative, you know, like pick the loadout that suits you, and you're going to see a large variety of just it changing throughout the gameplay. So that's probably the last part of the hub I gotta talk about, but still a little bit more of that upgrading stuff is, there's these things called nodes. I kind of already talked about them, but basically you can put them in your hacking, and just another insanely good feature. And if you get a node, it's basically acts the same way as the gun, except when you hack, it'll appear, and if you like, it's basically when you hack, there's a grid, you draw lines to get from one spot to the other, but while you're drawing your lines, if you pass through things, stuff happens. Nodes are things you pass through, and if you have specific nodes on you, you'll get specific nodes, and it'll affect the enemy, like making it attack its friends, or stunning it, stuff like that. Another thing is there's these perks, and nodes and these perks, you have to like upgrade your inventory. This is the part I was talking about. You'll have to upgrade your inventory and get more room for these, which can be kind of like hard. It takes a lot of resources to get an inventory upgrade, because honestly an inventory upgrade for these things is very good. You definitely want it if you can afford it, and because you end up having a lot of options and just not enough space for them. And these perks are just little things that are perks, like you can have like 4 or however much inventory space you have, and they just change a little thing. So yeah, that's like all the upgrading and like managing part of the game, and it is like by far the highest quality part of the game. Like hands down, I definitely agree with myself, of course, and I hope other people agree. So yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. I talked a lot longer about the upgrading system than I thought I would, but it is very good. If you made it this far, remember, it helps a ton if you leave a like and subscribe. Peace out, everyone.